One officer I was talking to in particular was from Toronto, so they had them coming in from all over. There's no way they have enough of that kind of a police presence in Ottawa alone. How you doing, fellas?
In a nutshell, what that really means is that there are no multiple jurisdictions anymore. All jurisdictions are under one jurisdiction. They all march to the same tune. They all take orders from the same source.
One day prior to the rally and protest in Ottawa and Montebello, I got a phone call in the morning from somebody who identified herself as being from the federal government. And when I questioned federal government, she said the Minister of Public Security. And then she verified who I was, because there's more than one Wendy Forrest in the city of Toronto. She made sure that I was the Wendy Forrest from the Canadian Action Party. And then she told me that she needed to see me that day. Very important, she needed to see me. Well, the very next day, I was working at my desk, and in fact, I was still in my pajamas. And the doorbell went, and I asked my mother to go get the door. And then she came back within a minute and told me that it was the person that had called me on the phone the day prior, and they were at my door. So I had to go quickly get dressed so that I could go outside and speak with them. And my mother told them that it was very strange that they were showing up at a person's door without any notice, without a phone call or anything like that. And she found that to be very fishy. And it was two women, two young women actually, that said, oh, very innocently, that they were just in the neighborhood, which is just insane. Nobody is ever just in the neighborhood, especially when you don't know them. So when I got myself dressed, and then I went outside, and my mother accompanied me, and we stood, my mother stood at the door, and I stood outside on the porch facing them. I did not invite them into the house. I didn't think that I needed to. So I said that I didn't like the fact that they were at my door, and that they had no reason to be at my door, and that I was just a law-abiding citizen. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And she said, oh, we have no concern about you whatsoever. And I said, well, why are you here? And she said, you know about the rally and protests that are happening this weekend? And I said, yes, of course I know. In fact, I'm going to attend. And she said, well, we have a concern that there might be some violence or something planned during that time. And so we are looking for people that might be able to help us out. So essentially they were looking for informants. So why they thought that Wendy Forrest from Canadian Action Party could assist them, I don't know. I said to them that I had no way of knowing if anything violent was going to be planned. I was not a violent person and would not get involved in violence, but it didn't mean that I didn't think that protesting wasn't the right thing to do.
In fact, the Canadian Securities and Intelligence Service's own website even lists anti-globalization activists, among other widely known peaceful groups, as a potential risk for domestic terrorism.
They were there for about 10 minutes. And so essentially they were looking for informants, and I said to them that I had no way of knowing if anything was going to be planned, and in fact they would know better than me if there was going to be anything planned. And so it was left at that, and I went on about my day, and so did they. But it was very, very strange. I'm a citizen, not doing anything illegal, and I'm just speaking out, and they caught wind of it, obviously, because of my participation in the meetup group and also on Facebook.
Social networking sites like Facebook, MySpace, and Meetup have become essential tools for activists to network and share information, as well as organizing events and rallies. These same sites, however, have also become essential tools for law enforcement, as they are under constant surveillance from police and intelligence agencies worldwide.
I've come to realize that the internet is the only way that we're going to be able to get the word out. I've really been putting a lot of effort into the meetup group and also into Facebook. I've started a number of pages on Facebook, again, to increase CAP's exposure and exposure to the issues. When the police show up at your door because you're talking about something, then you know you're on your way to a police state.
The village of Montebello is located about 100 kilometers northeast of Ottawa, on the Quebec side of the Ottawa River. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, U.S. President George Bush, and Mexican President Felipe Calderón were set to hold a two-day summit on the SPP at the Chateau Montebello the following day, August 20th. The Chateau is a world-renowned hotel. It is the world's largest log cabin and was also the site of the 1981 G7 summit, but unlike 1981, would only now become the center of globalization resistance and unparalleled security.
They like holding these things in remote resort locations. One of the things is that they're essentially trying to bribe the corporate elite by giving them lavish, places to go, by saying if you join the club, you get to go to these incredible resorts and have these secret meetings and join the old boys club, the global corporate transnational elites. Montebello was chosen because it's a resort, essentially.
There was big mention of this 25-kilometer security perimeter. And also what they were saying to the people was that there was going to be American military to enforce the security perimeter. They said anyone with more people, anyone with a vehicle than more than 4 people in it are going to be turned away. So immediately people are going to think, I can't bring busloads of people, I can't bring more than 4 people.
That's the idea, is that in Montebello, Quebec, it was a fairly remote location, so it was tough for people to access, which means it was tough for people to protest at, whereas Ottawa is a more traditional protest location. It was easy for them to secure. It was a small town, so they could sell the small town the economic benefits of holding a conference there. There's reasons for choosing Montebello. There wouldn't be just one reason, but I'm sure these guys and these think tanks who got together chose that reason for a specific location, which they haven't revealed to us, so we can only guess.
It turns out there was no such thing. I didn't have a problem. We drove right up, but I didn't know what to expect, and I think maybe some people were, maybe it did attract some people, but I think it was more of a deterrent. Got the cameras rolling.
Chateau Montebello, straight ahead.
Straight ahead, 2 kilometers up.
Chateau Montebello.
Coming into Montebello, there was really, me and my brother had gotten there quite early in the morning. There wasn't any protesters there yet, 1 or 2. We just drove right on past the Chateau entrance.
Entrance right there.
Looks like it. Yep. Chateau Montebello, the sign right here.
We should try and turn in.
Don't think so.
Yeah, right.
And we pulled up to the press area. We noticed all the media trucks that were there. So we pulled into the press area and just said we're with the press. And he said, okay, go ahead and park. And so that's where we parked. As soon as we got out of the car, we realized that's where the supposed live feed cameras were set up and the little field that they had designated for all the protesters. Suppose this is going to be the live feed area.
Since the Supreme Court has ruled that protesters have the right to be seen and heard, it was decided that a live video feed would be set up where protesters could voice their discontent to TV screens set up throughout the chateau.
There was a huge security fence going all the way around the perimeter of the chateau. Cameras on it every 20 or 30 feet, guards all throughout. Certainly some big-time heightened security when you have people like this coming to town. Do you know what's happening today?
Bush. No, not really.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay. You know that Bush is coming, right? Just that Bush is going to be here.
President Bush.
Yeah, that's it?
I spoke.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Along the fence line, it was mainly local police from Quebec. I spoke to some of them along there, and they, seemed like some good guys, but they just showed up to work that day and they're guarding a fence.